Okay, perfect. So it started recording. So I don't know if you want to do a little bit of an intro because you've done this like commentary fight breakdown before for a Durham fight series, but it's up to you. I can let you do that, and then we can introduce ourselves, and then we can start with the fights.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah,
You want me
whenever
right
you're
now?
ready, because
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
recording. Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Barry McDonald, and I'm here representing Durham Fight Series, Saturday, June 3rd in Oshawa at the Tribute Community Center. We have the first ever professional mixed martial arts event. We're going to blow the roof off of that place. We're going to have almost 4,000 people in there. We got 12 action packed fights. I've been excited for this for the past year. At the gym, the owners have been putting this together. The names we have on there and the quality of fights and opponents, this will rival any UFC fight night that you can watch out there. And we're trying to bring good quality MMA to Oshawa to show the level of all these local fighters and these international fighters that are coming up. They're like, there's no easy fights on this card, but we want to have everybody thoroughly entertained, have them educated on MMA, just what it is, and top to bottom, the look of the event, the feel of it, every single thing is going to be top level, professional UFC quality event, and that's what we're really trying to bring here. And we've been trying to get MMA going in Oshawa since. I mean, I was a teenager like 20 years ago as I was
Mm-hmm.
competing in the amateurs, and we were doing pancration fights and gym fights, and this was an ongoing thing. And then the government shut us down. They're like, "Who's
Mm-hmm.
sanctioning this? You guys just can't keep doing fights like this." And then it really wasn't until UFC came in April 2011, and they got it going. But even since then, it's been a little bit limited. And now it's starting to get up with a lot of the local shows going again. So we want to promote the local guys and really, really show a good, high level quality event right from Oshawa. And uh, for myself and some of the other trainers and Brendan, the owner of the gym, it's been a bit of a dream for us to either fight or have an actual professional event in the Tribute Community Center in Oshawa, right where like I mean a lot of us grew up downtown Oshawa, and to actually bring it there, present it to
Mm-hmm.
the community, and have an actual pro event, uh, it's a big deal for me personally. If I was still fighting, like rather than having a fight in Vegas, I would love to just have a match, a fight right in my hometown in Oshawa. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these guys now that have trained from Bowmanville, Lindsay, Oshawa, they're all getting to fight in their own hometown basically.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. I just wanted to introduce myself for everyone who doesn't know me. My name is Monique. I have a few MMA shows that I do every single week, but I reached out to Durham Fight Series to pretty much say, like, hey, I do commentary as well. So then I linked up with Barry, and here we are now breaking down the June 3rd Rise of the Phoenix Durham Fight Series card. So really excited to do this with you, Barry. Thank you for having me, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for the owner for having me do this as well. So I guess we can get started. We start with the first fight. I don't really. I have to clarify: is this fight a professional fight as well, or is it just amateur? Because they have amateur records for the first fight that we're about to announce.
No, every single fight is a professional fight on there. Every single fighter on here
Mm-hmm.
has had a big amateur background. All the guys I've trained,
Mm-hmm.
they have a boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, maybe wrestling. They've all competed several times in the amateur. So, I mean, altogether, even the guys when you see an 0-0, that
Mm-hmm.
guy has dozens and dozens of amateur fights as background. So sometimes if you see the record, it's their amateur record, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone on there. This is a pro show, pro rules. I believe we're using the unified rules for this event, and yeah, everyone in there. This will be either their pro debut or they're
Mm.
having more pro fights.
Okay, awesome. So I believe I don't want to butcher any names, so I'm gonna try my best to get through this without butchering anybody's name. But I think the first fighter that we're gonna announce is Ethan Harold. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. His record, according to the Tapology, is 3-1 and 0. And I believe all three of his wins from his amateur background was through decision. And then his opponent is Oscar Garcia. And what I could find, hopefully being the right fighter, is that he has one loss, and his loss is via triangle. Now, Ethan also had one loss, and his loss was be a neck crank. So it's just kind of funny that both of them have that kind of similar loss where they got lost by a sub. So Barry, since you probably know these fighters a little bit more, why don't you give me a little bit of more context about Ethan Harold, and then maybe about the opponent if you have anything on him.
Yeah. So Ethan Herod, actually Herod.
Yeah.
So yeah, Herod. He's yeah, I know Ethan very well. I've trained him for years, many times. He's done a lot of work with me. I've cornered him before. He's done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of. He did pretty good in the amateur scene in kickboxing and Muay Thai. And with Ethan's amateur background, building towards this fight, like he's been consistent. He's knocked a lot of guys out in amateur with bigger gloves with headgear. He's knocked guys
Mm.
right out, and
Wow.
he's several times he's had fight of the night. So I was picking him actually when I saw his name, and I'm like, he was turning pro. I'm like, yeah, he's about ready to go pro now. He's I believe he's a blue belt now in jiu-jitsu under Justin Bruckman, and
Nice.
he's been
Yep.
training for a long time. Uh, he's had about four MMA fights, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He did lose the one in Vegas there by a sub, but he fought a very, very high level jiu-jitsu guy. It was a good fight until then. Uh, and Ethan has heart, he's strength, he's
Mm-hmm.
consistent in the gym. He's a big guy for this weight class as well. I believe this is bantamweight, 135.
Yeah,
His fight is.
135. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan does a proper professional weight cut. Like he knows what to do. Uh, he's got power and speed. He can punch, he can kick, he can knee, he can wrestle, he can jujitsu. I've watched him tap guys out on the ground. I've watched him now with Ethan also. Uh, he's shown me something in some of the fights he's had where he's been behind. He's been behind 2 rounds, and
Mm-hmm.
he's came back and finished guys in the last round. And that itself is a skill that you can't really teach, but he has that, and he
Mm-hmm.
knows how to work, and he knows how to win fights. And he's only got a couple of losses. Like he has a big winning record altogether. And again, a lot of the guys that I've personally put out or Cal Samert Jim's put out, they're very well rounded. So when they're having their first fight, they've
Mm-hmm.
went through the amateur leagues in kickboxing. They've went through jiu-jitsu. I personally like everybody to have a blue heading towards purple belt before they enter a pro fight in the cage. Have
Right.
at least 10 striking matches with 10 wins. And Ethan's done all that. He's got a good he's a high pedigree amateur coming into the pros. He did it right. Like he was bred right for this. And that being said, he's got a tough fight in front of him. I had trouble finding anything on his opponent, which
Yeah.
is a lot of the guys from Mexico that are coming up. These are tough guys. I did see some of these guys fight, and they're we're not bringing these guys up as like WWE jobbers just to put guys over. I watch these guys fight. I'm like, these guys are no
Mm-hmm.
joke, and the level in Mexico is getting better. You watch, Brendan Moreno and
Yep.
Cain Velasquez. These guys that like, it's gotten popular there, so
Mm-hmm.
they know what they're doing. These guys got good role models. They're strong guys. And Mexicans are notoriously tough, and they can fight. So I'm expecting everybody from there to have hands, heart,
Mm-hmm.
strength. And from what I've seen, they actually surprised me from what I found on some of the Mexican on their groundwork. I watched a
Yeah.
few of them actually later on. I'll talk about, but they were
Yeah.
pulling off some sweeps and subs in the match. So I'm expecting a tough match for everybody. This fight card, top to bottom, every single fight on here and the way it was put together, every single one of these guys knows how to fight. And a lot of these guys have had fights of the night. Every fight is going to be competing to have fight of the night, I think. And
Right.
any one of these fights can do it because Ethan's
Mm-hmm.
had fight of the night several times on the amateur leagues. Like I said earlier, he has knocked guys out. He's knocked guys right out. And again, you got Ethan Herod putting it together. He's not just throwing bombs. He's putting together technical combinations with his punches and his kicks, his amazing head movement, and putting guys to sleep while they're wearing headgear and gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And also being a pro fight, and it's we're gonna have close to I think 4,000 or 3,500 people there, and it's your
Mm-hmm.
home show. That's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on our guys. There's no pressure from the Mexicans.
Right.
Personally, myself, I felt best when I was fighting out west, fighting down south. No one knew me. I could just perform. Back here, when there's more people around, you have that. But the away team this time, you know, they're just showing up to fight. They don't care who's in the crowd or who's there, But Ethan and all our guys have fought several times. They fought in front of hundreds and hundreds, probably 1,000 people. Our events we put on at the Polish Hall in Oshawa, we get close to 1,000 people in that arena. And Ethan's
Mm-hmm.
fought there several times. So they're used to having the crowd behind them. They're used to being in front of the crowd. Ethan's also used to, he's had some fights in Montreal. He's used to fighting, sorry, what's the league there? MFL, or he's fought out there a few times. So, I mean, he's been through the circuit, he's been prepared, and he's ready to turn pro. And again, he did it properly. He didn't just jump in. He's been
Mm-hmm.
training for years. I was picking him as the dark horse to steal the show here if he has a good finish. So I mean, Ethan is always one of my favorite guys to train, favorite guys to watch. He's got a fan-friendly style, and again, he can do everything. It's not just like he's a striker because he did a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time boxing with me, and then he learned jiu-jitsu properly, and he learned jiu-jitsu. So when it gets to the ground, he's just not holding on to get to his feet now. He's tapping out ground guys. He's choking guys out. He's armbarring guys.
Nice.
He's
Yeah.
he's subbing guys. So he's
Mm-hmm.
going to be ready. And again, the level of guys he's training with is top notch. So Ethan's he's an A-class amateur. He's got a good pedigree. He did the amateur circuit properly. He's ready to turn pro, and it's really going to be up to seeing what his opponent can bring. And so, what was his name again? His opponent?
It's his opponent's name is Oscar Garcia.
Oscar Garcia. That was it. I think I found about 60 different Oscar Garcias from
Right?
boxing and that, and I was just
Yeah.
assuming. I said, you know what? I couldn't find clear footage on the guy, and I said, you know what? He's going to have hands. I think he's going to be aggressive, and we're going to be ready for that. And these guys are no slouches. You're going to get into a fist fight with these guys. And everybody's 2023. Everybody knows how to grapple. Everybody knows how to shoot a
Yeah.
double. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows what the guard is. There's no surprises anymore. It's not 1993 where you can lack in one area. So
Mm-hmm.
tell these guys expect everything. You're gonna have to fight top to bottom, and you're gonna have to win. But Ethan's got him in to do that. They've put in the rounds. Now it's just doing it in front of the crowd and doing the live rounds, the 3 5-minute pro rounds. Because I do believe the amateur circuits, it was 3-minute fights they
Right.
do or something.
Mm-hmm.
So the rounds are a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
more limited rule sets. But these guys are prepared. And again, the Mexican team, I believe the Mexican team that's coming up has an advantage. I believe they absolutely do. Hard to find footage on these guys. I believe they're tough and they know how to fight, and they're not the hometown, and they're traveling a long distance. They're not coming to lose. So I mean, they're all going to scrap. This is going to be a very entertaining show. And to start the fight off with an Ethan Herod, or to start the night off with
Mm-hmm.
an Ethan Herod fight, that's going to set the bar for the show, because Ethan has knocked a lot of guys out. Or he's fought right down where when he has been finished, it's been a fight into the finish. So again, I don't know much about his opponent, but again, I'll be biased for this one. I'm picking Ethan, but again, I'm prepared for the first fight out of the gate, first pro fight in Oshawa.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a war, an absolute war with two quality guys. So it's an exciting fight.
Yeah, for sure. I think like for me, because I only know a few guys very well on this card, like from the Canadian side of the fight card. So I don't think I'm gonna necessarily pick someone to win, but I'm gonna try my best to do like some of the breakdowns and whatever I can find of the Mexican side of the fight card. Hopefully that can add to this breakdown. But I think the next fight that we're moving on to is a flyweight fight. Matt the Pitbull Dawson, who is, I believe, 3-4, and he has really great grappling. He's won by armbar and guillotine before. TKO and KO wins as well, and lost by decision. Okay, fine. And then we have his opponent from Mexico's side, Edwin Martinez Correa, which is 1-1, I believe. His win was from a rear naked choke and a loss by decision as well. So it's kind of like neck and neck. If obviously I found more when it came to Dawson, but maybe you can shed a little bit of light on Matt the Pitbull Dawson. Maybe you have worked with him before, or you've seen his training style, or like what can we expect from this fight?
Yeah, I don't know Matt personally, but he is in the gym now. He has been coming for the team training, and he's been working a lot with under Justin Bruckman and a lot of the guys from Cal Summer and a lot of the guys that they're on the card. Since coming on, he has made massive improvements, and you can see it
Hmm.
in his movement. You can see it in his fights. He's been consistent. I believe he just won a fight at is it Rebel Nightclub? What's the one? Prospect?
Yeah, prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's coming in hot. He's coming in right off a win.
Hmm.
So he's in shape. He's strong, and he's he knows how to fight, and he's entertaining, and he knows how to sell a fight. I think he really has done well hooking up with kind of called the Rebel Alliance community. It's a whole bunch of gyms that
Yeah.
work together,
Hmm.
and that's kind of headed under the Justin Bruckman and Cal Samert banner, and a lot of our satellite gyms and our friends' gyms that kind of bring our guys,
Hmm.
and he's kind of joined on to that as well. I think that was good for him because there's a lot of high level guys there, and Matt's a grinder. From the couple fights I've watched of him, he'll come right at you, and he's coming to win, and he's looking for the finish the whole time. I believe, did he choke a guy last time in his fight? I believe something like that. I'm not sure. Or was it a
In
decision?
his last fight, I'm not 100% sure. I just know with the information I was given,
Yeah,
he has subbed people before with like an
yeah,
armbar or a guillotine. Yeah.
yeah. I believe he won by sub, and you know, uh, I wouldn't put him past him to try to look for the finish early in this fight. And again, a lot of these guys are coming in. They know this is the first pro event. They want to
Hmm.
get a highlight reel. They want to come
Yeah.
in. They want a big finish. Nobody wants to sit in a guy's guard waiting for the decision. Nobody wants to
Right.
dance around. They want to come in. They want to show their skill set. And I think Matt is one of those guys that he wants a big finish. And I think he's going to try to look for a submission in this
Mm,
fight. And again, his opponent seems to be a pretty good matchup. Seems to be a pretty good
yeah.
matchup the way it is. Again, I hadn't seen any footage there on his opponent, how he's on the ground, but just going by what I find, what you had said, the thing
Hmm.
about be a battle on the ground. And again, the striking could make the difference as well.
Yeah.
What's it going to look like once they hit the ground? How are they going to hit the ground? Is it going to go down there because someone got punched in the face or someone got thrown or they scrambled to the ground? So I'm
Right.
really interested to see how these guys match up. So for me, I'm up in the air and I'm just a fan watching some of these fights there that night. I'll have the best seat in the hell right by the cage and just taking it as it hits me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna go down with striking because when it comes to their ground game, it looks like they're kind of neck and neck. At least from what I found, doing the research on both of these guys, and so I think like whoever might be the better striker and whoever's gonna get it to the ground first is probably going to get the advantage in this fight. But I think the next
Yep.
fight coming up is back to bantamweight. We have Ryan Yapsum, Canadian fighter, fighting. I believe his record is 1-0, and his win was by decision. And his opponent, which I'm gonna try to pronounce his last name, but his name is Victor Horagui. I think that's how you say it because of the silent
Yeah.
J. And his record, the one that I found, and I'm hoping that's the right one, is 1-3. And his win was by punches back, but it was back in 2021, so he hasn't really
Mm.
fought or won recently. And his loss was from a KO and a TKO. So maybe you have a bit of experience, I guess, talking about Ryan in terms of the Canadian side of the fight card. But what do you know about him and what he can bring to the table in this fight?
Yeah. I've seen Ryan fight a few times. I think I've called a couple of his fights at some of the amateur shows that I've been on.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's solid fighter, big for the weight class, strong guy, very athletic. He comes
Mm-hmm.
out of the corner swinging. He can punch. He can kick. He can grapple. I do believe he was the Canadian national Muay Thai champion. I think he won nationals last year or was
Okay.
up there.
Yeah.
I think he's from Ajax MMA. They got
Mm-hmm.
a good, solid team. A lot of those guys come over. They spar and they've trained with us before. But Ryan is a up and coming prospect. I would keep my eye on him. Uh, and he enjoys to fight. Like when I saw him fight, he wasn't scared to throw head kicks, spinning kicks, flying kicks, going right for the clinch.
Mm-hmm.
And again, coming out, Oshawa's pretty much his hometown. He has Ajax just 2 towns over, so he's gonna have a lot of people there for him, and I think he's gonna be looking to impress with his fight. Same thing with his opponent. I had trouble finding anything on him. It was either the guy's 1-3 or he's 30-2. So I have no idea
Yeah.
who's going to show up. But again, these guys at this level, they're just coming to fight, put somebody in front of them. And again,
Hmm.
I'm expecting the guys from Mexico to be very tough, and they're going to test all the red cornered fighters. But Ryan, being a local guy, I believe again there's going to be a huge pop when he walks out. He's pretty well known on the amateur circuit.
Hmm.
I do believe he's an instructor at his gym as well. His stand up solid. His ground seems pretty solid. Again, he looks like a strong guy at his weight, and again, I could see him looking for a knockout. I could see this fight.
Hmm.
I have no idea how the opponent's going to fight, but from what I've seen from Ryan is he throws with intent,
Yeah.
and he throws head kicks, he throws
Yeah.
hard punches. He'll throw the guy to the ground. He's trying to finish when he's on the ground. So again, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be an entertaining fight.
For sure. And then we're moving up to the next fight, which is all the way to 185. We have Michael Asifo versus Sebastian Lopez. And I believe, I'm not too sure, but I think Lopez might be a Canadian, or maybe he's actually from the Mexico side. I'm not 100% sure about that part because of just like the footage that I try to find on both fighters. But when it comes to Asifo, I think his loss was to a ground and pound situation, if I'm not mistaken. If
Yeah.
this is the right person that I'm thinking about. And then with Lopez, he actually had a win by sub, which is the triangle choke, and then he lost by decision. So I don't know much about both of these fighters. I tried my best to find enough footage, but clearly it was hard to find for both fighters. So maybe you know more about Michael Asifo, at least on that side, or maybe you know about both those fighters. So what are your
This
thoughts
was
on this
this is one
fight?
fight that this is one that I'm not too familiar with either guy. I know Estifo. He'd been in the gym, done some practices with some of the guys for the upcoming fights. Looks like a really big, strong guy, very physical looking guy. And again, a lot of these guys have had more fight experience than what you can find on them. So looks like a banger. I'll
Mm-hmm.
pick him. He's coming out. Looks like he's going to throw some leather. Look, and if he came off a loss or he's had a loss, he's trying to get that back. Again,
Yeah.
his opponent was another hard one. And looking him up, I'm like, I can't seem to find anything solid on a lot of those guys. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this one, from what I've seen from Asifo when I saw him in person briefly, again, big tough guy. Looks like he can fight. Looks
Mm-hmm.
like a good athlete, and looks like he's coming ready. He's coming to entertain. He's in good shape right now.
That's good. That's good to hear. I like my middleweight division, like when it comes to the UFC and stuff like that. So this is definitely a fight that I'm going to be not taking my eyes off of when it comes to this fight card. So I believe the next fight on the fight card is at 155, and it's Blake Oswald, who is 1-1 right now. He had his last win by submission, which was an armbar, and his loss by rear naked choke. And then his opponent, if my research stands correctly, is Pedro Rubio Sanbred, who was very hard to find any kind of footage
Yeah.
or any type of research on him. But according to what I found, I think I found the right guy. He's 4-1. His wins include not only knockouts, TKOs, he can do punches from mount and finish it, or he can sub you, and he's done that via triangle before. So this is going to be a very tough matchup for Oswald. It's going to be a true test for him because Pedro seems like maybe a little bit more accomplished in the pro circuit. So, but maybe you, Barry, might have some insight on Oswald in terms of his training and his past experience. So, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I know Blake a little bit. I see him in the gym. He's in the gym a lot. He trains from a big country gym headed by Joe Elliott. He's done all kinds of fights. He's pretty well rounded, very disciplined, strong guy. I believe his pro debut. Again, another guy that did it. Probably he had a big amateur background. He had
Mm-hmm.
boxing, kick. He'd fight anything. It's just to get the experience, which is what you should properly do before you go pro. So he's fought in each type of discipline, tested himself, won in each type of discipline. I believe his first pro fight I believe it was in the States. He armbarred the guy. I believe it was submission of the night he won for that fight.
Mhm.
So again, another one of these fights that could be fight of the night, knockout of the night, submission of the night. They seem to match up well. And again, he came off of a loss. He lost his last fight at Rebel Nightclub there at Prospect,
Mm.
I believe. So
Mhm.
he's coming in his home show looking for uh, to redeem himself that way and
Mhm.
to put himself back on the mat and show everybody what he can do because he's a very, very, very good fighter. Good fight IQ. I've seen him fight a few times, and again, another guy that can knock people out and he can tap them. I've seen him hit the mat and
Mhm.
instantly tap guys fast with leg locks, arm bars, chokes. He's a aggressive submission fighter from what I've seen, but again, his kicks and punches as well are very good. He's a very, very
Mhm.
good, entertaining fighter. This is another one of those fights that could be fight of the night.
That's for sure. Like I said, I think this is going to be a really tough matchup for him, but I think it's going to be entertaining
Yep.
because it looks like both guys have a lot of heart and determination going into this fight. But I believe the next fight, a lot of people know him in terms of someone from the hometown. We have Brennan Bubba Picard, who has a record of 3-1, wins by submission, including rear naked chokes and guillotine, and his loss was to a decision. And then his opponent is Manuel Mayorquin, who has a record of 1-0, and his win was via decision. So, gonna be interesting. I think Picard has a lot of fans in his corner for this one. I can tell just by the response I get when I tell people like, oh, this fighter is on this card, and they're like, oh, I know who that is. So I mean, Barry, you can probably shed more light onto this fighter and this fight card. His popularity, I think, is one of the reasons why this fight card is going to be as big as it is, right? So why don't you tell me more about Brennan Picard and his kind of fight style and his training?
Yeah, Brennan Bubba Picard. I know him very well. I'm one of his many trainers that he has at the gym. I've
Mm-hmm.
trained him and trained with him for years. He came onto our team maybe 6 years ago or so, and again, he came from a judo background. He is a junior world kickboxing champion. He has
Mm-hmm.
run many regional titles, and he's won titles in MMA in the States. Again, another guy that ran through the amateur circuit properly and successfully, and brought himself to the point to be ready to turn pro in MMA. And I would pick Brendan Picard to be the
Mm-hmm.
hottest prospect right now out of Ontario as terms of MMA. I relate him to a lot of the old school guys that watch now. Uh, he reminds me of Mark Hominick, prime
Mm.
Mark Hominick, the way Hominick used to fight with that kickboxing and jiu-jitsu style. He's similar physically and movement wise to kind of that. Very exciting fighter. He can finish. He can bang. There's been times like I've worked one on ones with him. I've done the fight team training years and before I told him things to do. I'm like, hey, I want to see if you can put this guy down with the right hand, and he would do it. Bam, guys out.
Mm.
Like it's like playing a video game with him. So he's able to
Yeah.
do that. He's able to finish, and when he smells blood, he goes for it. And
Mhm.
this being his hometown, home show, and the amount of support that he's going to have, he's coming in to show his best. He has probably one of the most well-rounded skill sets out of a lot of the amateurs. Again, world junior kickboxing champion. Out of a lot of the
Mhm.
guys that even first generation guys that made it there that were known as good strikers,
Mhm.
they didn't come from amateur worlds and have a blue belt, ready to go purple and do judo. He kind of has what kind of our original team where we had put together so many martial arts before we even got into MMA. So he's really bringing the philosophy that we have at the gym to the forefront, and he's applying it and he's winning. And not just winning, he is knocking guys out. He's tapping guys on the ground. He's entering jiu-jitsu events. He's finishing. I believe he just did a jiu-jitsu event a couple months ago. He beat a guy in a few minutes with a armbar. Um,
Mm.
his last couple kickboxing matches, he knocked a guy out. His last MMA fight, he knocked a guy out. So he's coming in ready. He's coming in hot. He's a strong, athletic, young guy. Again, Could be fight of the night. Could be knockout or submission of the night. I don't know which way this is going to go. But again, I picked Bubba Picard, Brennan Picard, as right now the hottest up and coming prospect for everybody to keep their eyes on in his weight division there. And again, his opponent, 1-0, one decision. That means the guy can fight. That means the guy can last 15 minutes in a fight.
Yeah.
These are full pro fights.
Mm-hmm.
Just because a guy went a distance to get a finish, he got an education, and
Yeah.
the actual ring time is better in the long run sometimes just for your experience rather than a bunch of fast knockouts. So it's going to match up well, and the opening bell is going to be very exciting to see how these guys meet in the middle and who takes control of the middle of that ring. Because I know Bubba Picard, he's saying that's his home cage. He's defending
Mm-hmm.
it. He's taking the middle. He wants control of that ring. He wants to impose his will and his strength and his skills, and he's going to go for it. He wants the finish. He wants the highlight. He wants to have, that whole arena screaming for him. So I mean, he's ready for this, and he's prepared a long time for this, and he's consistent in the gym. He's when he's not training, he's teaching. He does
Mm-hmm.
personal training, teaches a lot of the kids' classes, so his mind is always there. And what I also found,
Yeah.
being a trainer, your IQ goes up, not just from a fight, as you become a trainer. And this is what I liked about Bubba. He can grab the mitts, and he's holding the mitts for me now. So when I'm hitting mitts and I want to work out, he gives me a couple rounds on the mitts, and I
Yeah.
am so impressed. I've done mitts with some of the best guys in the world. I trained Freddie Roach before. He held pads for me. I was doing mitts. There's no difference from what I feel when he holds and he trains a guy from what I've seen from world-class guys that make millions and millions of dollars doing this stuff. So, he's doing all the right things. His heart's in it. He's dialed in. He's got the mind, and he will not quit. So again, Bubba Picard could be another fight of the night, knockout of the night. He might steal the show. I'm interested to see his opponent. I think he's fighting a dangerous opponent. The guy can go the distance. It needs a
Mm-hmm.
guy to get finished, and the guy won. So, I can't wait for that bell to ring.
Yeah, I'm excited for this fight for sure because like once I glanced at this fight card, this was like one of the names that I recognized right away. So definitely really
Yeah.
excited about that. I believe the next fight is back to bantamweight. We have Tyler Wilson, who is kind of like a veteran. When it
Yep.
comes to the pro circuit, he's 8-6 if I'm not mistaken. Wins by submissions, including guillotines and rear naked chokes, knees, punches, and one loss by decision. Or his losses are by decision. And then his opponent is Alfredo Larios, who is 3-2. His win is from a submission, which is the rear naked choke, and then losses with actually a straight right. So I think Wilson has an advantage there when it comes to the striking and maybe the power advantage as well because he's had wins with like a KO or a TKO victory before. So, but that's just like my guess going into this, analyzing everything and the research that I've gathered. But what about what you know about Tyler Wilson? Because he's like I said, he's probably like a veteran in the pro circuit in Ontario, at least in Canada, right? So, like, what do you have to say about this fight?
Yeah, actually, his opponent first. I'll start with him, Larios. That was the one guy that I did find some fights on, and that was the one guy that showed me. I'm like, yeah, the Mexican guys can grapple.
Yeah.
I believe he turned his opponent over with a Kimura sweep, took his back, and finished him with a choke. So I was like, that was actually
Mm,
pretty slick. That wasn't just gooning a guy into a position and beating the crap out of him. He actually used solid technique and showed he had control with his hooks and his arm. His hands and his legs were in the right places at the right
mm,
times, and he got the finish. So I'm like, okay, this guy knows how to fight, knows how to fight on the ground. He actually looks technical. Tyler Wilson, I've seen his name around. He's from Kingston. I believe he's on a 2-fight win streak. And a guy like
mm.
Tyler Wilson, I believe he's 8-6, you said?
Yep.
A guy like that's dangerous because he can
Yeah.
win. He's had 8 wins, but he's had losses. So he's coming out. He does not care. He's coming to win. He can fight.
Yeah.
And he's trying to build his record. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now. He got his losses out of the way. He had a little bit of a loss streak, but he turned it around and he came
Hmm.
back and he's won a couple fights in a row. That means he's got momentum. Uh, he's got experience and he can fight anywhere. I think Tyler's able to go up or down. And again, a veteran like that with that type of a record that's been active, he'll fight it. He knows how to get through a fight and he knows how to win a fight. And again, you never know if a matchup like this, these guys just might go right to war. And again, another contender for fight of the night. That depends how these guys match up, right? And Tyler, really, really, really tough guy. Really tough guy. You know, so I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to see like more of a veteran in the pro circuit and how they perform, against their opponent. And so the next fight, a lot of people know who this fighter is. It's going to be at catch weight. It's going to be at 150 pounds. We have Maddox Embry. 3 and 4. My favorite highlight in terms of the research that I gathered from him was back in 2016. He actually had a match in glory with Giga Chikadze, who we all know is in the
Right. Yeah.
UFC, and he won that fight with punches and knockdowns as well for his other wins. So yeah, no, that was amazing. When I saw that, I was like, I know this name, and like seeing that highlight was just like eye opening for me. And then his opponent, I believe, is Costello. I'm not 100% sure of in terms of like the research on this guy. I know we were talking before we did this recording, and it was a little bit harder to find anything because he was kind of like a last minute opponent. So, in terms of Matt, though, you can probably shed some light on who he is as a fighter and his experiences. And yeah, a lot of people know him, including people that I know this name so very well. Mm-hmm.
So this is a great fight, and this is a dangerous fight for a few reasons. First one, Matt has proven himself time and time again at the highest level of kickboxing Muay Thai that he
Mm-hmm.
is one of the best on the planet at striking. And he's knocked out some of the best guys on the planet. He's fought for the glory title, Van Roosmalen. He fought
Mm-hmm.
Sanchai in Thailand under a roped fist match, Thai rules, and he went the
Mm-hmm.
distance with them. So, I mean, the best guys haven't finished him. Knocked out Giga, who had a,
Yeah.
really top, he was a top 10 guy in UFC. So, I mean, Matt saw that. Matt saw how good Giga's doing in UFC. Matt knows how to fight. Uh, I've been doing this since I was a little kid. I've had a ton of fights. I've trained a ton of people. I've done about probably over 1,000 fights myself, in and out of corners and
Mm-hmm.
in the ring and cage. Matt is by far one of the highest fight IQ guys I've ever kind of came across. He knows how to fight. Uh, World class kickboxer, but I would also add that to his ground. He knows
Mm-hmm.
how to MMA jiu-jitsu, and he's been doing it for a long time. He knows how to wrestle. He knows how to jiu-jitsu. He knows how to sub. He knows what to do, and he's a strong, strong, strong guy. Um, Not a heavy guy for the weight class, but he's more closer to the natural weight. He's not a big car, but he's just ready to fight anytime. Now,
Yeah.
dangerous fight because he's one of the most deadly humans on the planet. It's been hard to get him a match. People take it and then they
Mm-hmm.
look him up and they're like, they're making their MMA debut, and Matt has probably the highest pedigree background on this fight card than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That being said, though, his opponent, don't know much about him, and the guy's 2-0 coming in here, and he's saying, "I'm gonna fight Matt Embry, and I'm coming to knock him out, and I'm coming to put hands in his face." He's a boxer, and I believe he's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. I would
Mm.
probably put Matt's skills no gi around maybe purple, but I mean
Mm-hmm.
his IQ is he's a black belt overall IQ in
Yeah.
fighting. In
Yeah.
fighting, Matt knows how to grapple for fighting. Matt knows how to apply his strikes for fighting. And again, it's this other thing. He was successful on the world scene at kickboxing. He fought the best guys in his division in the world. He was successful. He did win titles all over the place. He's had a ton of fights, but how does that translate? How does he transition those skills into the cage to become a complete MMA fighter? Will he be susceptible to getting taken down? Will he be susceptible to even getting hit himself? Because there's so much to worry about. And a lot of times, a lot of these high level strikers are so confident in their striking, they overlook that. And sometimes they get knocked out. A great example was Stefan Leko in Pride. He was one of the K1 champions. I believe he fought a judo guy, and everyone's expecting him to knock this judo. The judo guy knocked him out because he was too worried about getting taken down, and he got caught with a shot put on his back. Something that should never have happened. This judo guy should never have knocked out a world champion kickboxer,
Mm-hmm.
but he was more concerned kind of about worrying about the rest of the MMA skills. He got caught with the striking. So the excitement of this is, how does Matt apply his world class kickboxing, his Muay Thai, his fight IQ live in the cage? Also, Matt is from Oshawa. The
Mm-hmm.
pressure is on Matt.
Mhm.
There's world class pressure. There's eyes all over the planet on Matt that night. He's the
Yeah.
biggest name on this card. He's a world class name. Everybody wants to see how far Matt can go in MMA, and this is his key to the house. He's
Mhm.
opening the door, and the entire world is staring at him, saying, "All right, do it. Impress me. If you impress me, you blow the roof off that place. If you screw up, everybody's going to judge you and tell you how you should have fought." You know what I mean? But again, uh, if Matt fights properly, he might get knocked out of the night. I think maybe. I think
Yeah.
Matt can finish. I think Matt can finish anybody. I've worked on the pads with him. His boxing is fast, sharp. He knows what to do. He can knock you out with knees and kicks, but he can tap you. Matt's grappling is no joke, and he's a strong, strong wrestler. He's been training with world class guys in MMA and Jiu Jitsu for years. So I'm interested to see. And again, a dangerous fight, limited information on his opponent. That's always a danger. Like I suspect a lot of these guys. I'm just saying, I'm expecting them to have 50 fights that you can't find, especially
Yeah.
coming from Mexico,
Mhm.
especially doing the system there. There's so many smokers there that you can just pick up fights here and there. So I don't know. But
Mhm.
again, being a Mexican, he's got hands. I'll assume he's got hands. He's got heart and he's
Mhm.
strong. He won't give up. He's traveling a long distance and he's coming to steal Matt's thunder. So again, fight of the night right here, knockout of the night. I don't know. I'm so excited. I'm just going to sit back and watch this and enjoy
Yeah.
it. I see Matt all the time in the gym. I've worked with him a bit. He's a good friend, and I'm excited for him because again, this isn't just about him having a fight in Oshawa.
Mhm.
He wants to see how far he can go in MMA. He wants to be the world
Yeah.
champion. He's not just coming in here to do a fight. Like he wants to go all the way. He saw what Giga did in UFC. He knocked him out. You know what I mean? No one else had done that until recently to Giga. So I mean, that's going to be a very, very exciting fight for the fans. Again, the fans are in for a treat with this whole fight card.
Yeah, I'm excited for this fight just because, like, again, a lot of my friends even know who Matt is, like, personally. Like, they've worked with him at a gym or they've taught with him at the gym, kind of thing. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be a really fun fight to watch. Now, I believe the next fight are two kind of veteran fighters when it comes to the pro circuit, especially the opponent from the blue corner. It's a 140-pound catchweight fight. We have Tariq the Desert Storm Ismail, who is 6-1, wins by decision, also lost by decision, and then we have, if my research stands correctly, the American Walel the Pharaoh Watson, and his record is an astounding 15-14. Like I said, hopefully I got the same guy that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Wins by sub, guillotine chokes, and then lost by decision, subs, and also punches. So yeah, sure, we have a bunch of wins and a bunch of losses, but this guy is very seasoned. He definitely knows and probably has improved this game tremendously. So it's gonna be a tough match for Tariq, even though Tariq is obviously having the better record. So why don't you shed some light on this fight, Barry? Do you know Tariq? Have you seen him fight before?
Yeah, I don't know him personally. I have seen him fight. I do know the name. I do know who he is. Again, he's
Mm-hmm.
one of these other guys, like I said earlier about Bubba, probably one of the hottest guys in Ontario to be doing MMA. Very exciting fighter. I know he's trained up in TriStar in Montreal a lot. I think he's worked with Matt Embry and Bazooka Joe and those guys. He's got
Mm-hmm.
world class striking. He has a massive amateur background again, and he's fought in Thailand. He's boxed. He's done everything. And again, this guy knows how to fight. He knows how to finish. He knows how to put on a show. He has great technique, and he's an athlete. And again, he's up against a tough fight because Watson's coming in, and he's a guy that has a record like a 50-50 record. They're dangerous guys.
Yeah.
They're coming in. They're journeymen, and they want to beat a big name, and they have the experience that they could beat anybody, and they've lost before. It's not about they'll they don't care about losing. They're not scared to lose. They're coming in to fight.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to finish Watson. It's gonna have to be a finish for
Yeah.
Tariq. And that being said, he is good at finishing people. He's got great strikes. He's able to finish. He can punch. He's got great elbows.
Mm-hmm.
Strong guy. And again, another fight I am so excited for. And again, to have the level of guys we have here, it's not just guys having their first fights. These are high class guys and guys from the area that are coming in with a massive skill set that can entertain and really show good quality MMA to the crowd in Oshawa and present it as like, this is what this sport is, and this is how you put it together properly. Tariq is one of those guys to watch. He's entertaining, and you can get an education watching that guy. I've watched him a few times. I've watched some of his training videos. I've watched his fights. Very, very good, tough, disciplined guy. And again, Watson's coming up. He's coming to steal that heat out of Tariq. So again, this is going to be a scrap. I'm going to be interested to see how Watson does in the opening round. I'd seen a fight. I believe he just fought in Kingston, and he was looking pretty decent until the end of the fight. But he knows what to do. He has good technique, good moves, and again, all these fights, I'm looking at them, and on paper, every single fight that they've put together in this event has the potential to be fight of the night.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's funny because we've reached the point of this recording where we get to talk about the championship fights. That's right. We are going to talk about the first one, which is at welterweight at 165 pounds. We have one of the names that I am looking forward to the most, probably top three guys that I'm looking forward to the most on this fight card. Justin King Condi, who is 4-0. I mean, his wins literally, he can win by anything. He can win by decision, he can win by KO, he can win by sub. Rear naked choke was one of the subs that he's done recently, and even a right cross. Like he can pretty much win in any fashion at any fight that he is on. Now, his opponent was a little bit harder to find any type of information on. It's Sylvester Sanchez, who I believe, if I got the right guy, is 3-0, and his wins are by submission. Rear naked choke being the most recent one. So it's gonna be an interesting fight. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna cheer for the Canadian fighter in this fight. I think his skill set is just kind of next to none. Kind of basically he can take this fight wherever he wants to take the fight. That's how I see it personally, and I'm sure you, Barry, either you've worked with him or you've seen him fight or train before. I'm sure you can probably attest to that.
Yeah, I know Justin Condi really well. I see him. He's in the gym all the time. Good friend, good guy. To start off with Justin Condi, he's got to be one of the most experienced guys out of Ontario. Definitely one of the most experienced kickboxers from Ontario. I mean, I'm going to take a guess, he's probably had close to 100 amateur fights. I mean, and he's been doing it forever. He's been consistent since hooking up again with the Rebel Alliance teams, the guys we got lined up to train. He's one of the biggest guys I've seen at this weight class. He's a huge, strong guy. He does a proper professional weight cut. If you know what that means. He's coming in ready. He's strong. And again, well-rounded. I believe he's a purple belt under Professor Justin Bruckman. He's been putting the mat time in. His ground's been looking good. He's finished with strikes on the ground. He's finished with submissions. He's knocked guys out. And I looked up his opponent. His opponent is no joke. I am actually excited for this fight. I'm nervous for this fight. Sylvester, he just won in Kingston, I believe, BTC. And that guy was no joke. That guy had good technique. That guy was very, very solid and very dangerous. He had good elbows, good Muay Thai. He was switching his stance a lot, so he's very unorthodox, but he could fight out of both positions, which was a rare skill. Sometimes when guys switch, it drives me nuts. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
He knows what to do. He knew where to put his feet. He knew where to put his head. He was doing the right things, and he finished the guy. So I'm like, wow, he's 3-0 for a reason. Condi's 4-0. Someone's always got to go, and this is a legit Ontario title fight. Both these guys have earned it. A lot of shows, when they start off, they'll put title fights up just to have belts so they can rank systems, and they'll just throw guys in there. We haven't done that in this event. Everyone that's fighting in these title fights has earned their way there. They have a background. They have a big pedigree. Again, these guys are undefeated. Condi's 4-0. His opponent, Sylvester's 3-0. That being said, their amateur background is huge. Like for Condi himself, he's a high quality martial artist. He does everything right. He's very, very disciplined. I would say he was one of the bigger guys to fight this type of weight class as well. And he's got power, he's got strength, he can knock guys out. He's knocked out a few guys. He's got I believe his last fight, he knocked the guy out with that straight right hand down the
Mm-hmm.
stage, and that was a fast fight. That was only about a minute. So I mean, again, Condi's coming to take the middle, and that's going to be an exciting fight to see these guys clash. From what I've seen from his opponent, I'm like, wow, this guy was tougher than I thought he would be. And
Yeah.
I actually had a couple guys from the area message me and tell me about his opponent. They're like, watch out for this guy,
Oh
Sylvester. I was
wow.
like, oh really? I'm like, so
Yeah.
I had well-known guys that I know had said, yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
is the guy to watch for this show. So again, potential fight of the night. This could be a knockout either way. Again, these are 4-ounce pro gloves. There's
Mm-hmm.
no room for error. These aren't boxing gloves. Any of these guys land at the right time, the other guy can go right to sleep. And again, that I'm looking forward to that fight. I'll be on the edge of my seat when the bell goes for this one.
That's for sure. And then we have the flyweight championship on the line. We got 125 pounders. The Canadian, we all probably know him, James the Suplex Kid Clark is up for the belt. He is 7-3, wins by decision or sub because he's had armbar and rear naked choke victories before. And then his opponent, Ricardo Cobra Hernandez, again, this is one of those guys that you mentioned. A lot of wins, a lot of losses. Wins by submission, arm bars, and then KO decision. He can pretty much win in any fashion of a fight, but he has a lot of losses too, and that's probably going to be really dangerous for someone like James. Maybe he hasn't fought someone that's as seasoned as Ricardo. So why don't you shed some light on this fight? I'm sure you know James a little bit more than I do. So just shed some light on his training, what kind of fighter he is, and what can we expect from him during this fight.
And again, this is a quality main event fight for Oshawa. This is really really good. James Clark, great fight, very very scrappy guy. He was on the amateur scene for a while. He was winning, he was losing, and he was a scrappy guy. I'd known him from a lot of the events, but he came onto the Rebel Alliance team, and wow, he has skyrocketed and really changed his whole life around. His discipline, his focus, his self control, and he's dialed in now. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he wants to go to UFC. And I think out of this card, I picked James as a guy that's very very close. He's on the cusp of going to a fight night, getting called in for a prelims on
Mm-hmm.
UFC. I believe since he's been under Justin Bruckman, he's on a 6 or a 9 fight winning streak or something. And
Mm-hmm.
James is mainly a wrestler. Uh, his pedigree in wrestling is pretty good, but his MMA wrestling he's one of these guys that is a good wrestler. Uh, Not an Olympic wrestler, but when it comes to MMA, his fight wrestling is amongst the best. He's great at getting
Mm-hmm.
in on guys, picking them up and slamming them, and he can control a guy and finish. Uh, and he's in his face the whole time. He'll go right at a guy, and his work rate, he'll stay on a guy the whole time. Very, very similar to the way a lot of the guys from Dagestan fight. Khabib,
Mm-hmm.
Kamza, a lot of the guys from kind of that block. James has that style. He has that ferociousness. He's a dangerous guy. He's one of the bigger guys at this weight class as well. I would say he's probably one of the strongest guys at this weight class. He's a worker. His work rate and his discipline wins him these fights. And again, they call him the suplex kid because
Mm-hmm.
you throw a guy once, you're not going to call the suplex. He's thrown
Right.
guys tons of
Yeah.
times. He's
Mm-hmm.
broken guys' arms in fights. He's done it. But again, since hooking up with Justin Bruckman and he's under Joe Elliott in Big Country, but since everyone's kind of came together, James's success, it's been 100% every time. He's
Mm-hmm.
been amazing. He went to amateur worlds, I believe, in Singapore, one FC amateurs. I believe he lost a split decision to a wrestler from Dagestan that he threw all over the place. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he's fighting these top guys and he's out wrestling them. He's just again, I picked James as the next guy from this area. If he
Mm-hmm.
keeps winning, especially
Yeah.
tonight, especially on this one,
Right.
to go to UFC. He's right there. He's right. He's just waiting on that call. Like he's developed properly. He knows what to do, and he's hungry for it. Again, and his opponent, dangerous guy. Dangerous guy. Sorry, what was his opponent's record again?
It's actually 10-10-1. His
10 and
opponent.
10. So
Yeah.
look at that as not even 10-10. That's a guy's had 20 fights,
Mm-hmm.
20 pro fights, plus whatever other fights you can't find. Again,
Yeah.
these guys are coming a long ways. He doesn't care what James does. He doesn't care that everybody's there for him. He's got no pressure. He's just coming to fight, and he's coming to put James to sleep. And again, these guys will have hands, and he's looking to catch James coming in. And I'm really interested to see how they clinch and tie up, because where he could look to give James trouble is to try to nullify his wrestling and counter him with his boxing, and
Mm-hmm.
that'll make it. This is a legit title fight. So like I said, we didn't just throw titles out there and pick random guys to fill in slots to build a division.
Right.
These guys have earned their way. They earned the amateur scene, and the guys are pros. They're on pro fight. They're on winning streaks. James is right on the cusp, going to UFC. He'll be the next guy from Ontario. I believe that if he keeps being successful, they could go there. He's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is a quality event. The fans in Oshawa are in for a treat. They're going to have their minds blown at the level here. There's no difference in this fight card than a UFC fight night.
Yeah. That's for sure. I'm really excited to watch this fight night, especially with some of the names that are on here, even the ones that I don't even know that you pretty much like it had some insights on that now I'm like really excited to watch because they're all very scrappy guys. They have a lot of heart and determination. That's what's going to show in these fights against, the blue corner, which is predominantly from Mexico. And so why don't you, Barry, because this is predominantly your realm and scene in terms of like Durham fight series, like why don't you close it out with just again a reiteration of what the event is, where people can go and find tickets, things like that, and when is it gonna all happen and where is it gonna all happen?
Sure. So again, this is a historical event. This is a huge event for Canada, for Ontario. We've been trying to get MMA. I mean, since I was a kid, since I was competing in the amateur scene,
Mm-hmm.
it was everyone's dream to have MMA and bring it to Oshawa. It's here. It's here. And it's such a high quality event, top to bottom. Production wise, with what Brendan Kalajundik and Brad De Silva are doing, they want to blow everybody's mind. They want people to not believe what they're actually seeing, top to bottom, from the walkouts, the announcing, the way the arena is going to be set up, the music,
Mm-hmm.
everything, plus the quality of fighters and the quality of fights. Again, it's Saturday, June 3rd. Doors open at 6 p.m. First fight is at 7 at the Tribute Community Center in Oshawa. This is an OHL arena. This is where the Oshawa Generals play. It's the biggest arena in Oshawa. To have MMA here is such a huge deal. And again, we've brought in world-class guys. We're bringing in a big team from Mexico that's really, really, really tough. I'm looking forward to this. Tickets are almost sold out. We're almost sold out, but they're still available. Tickets are available at Tribute Community Center. If you go to visit the website, tributecommunitycenter.com, you can buy tickets online, I believe, or if you go there in person, if you're in the area. But again, our goal as a team with Durham Fight Series, we have sold out every single event we've ever done. Every amateur event we've
Mm-hmm.
done has been at standing room only at capacity. We've never done an event that wasn't sold out. This will
Mm-hmm.
be no different, and it's been a dream in the making for years. Where I remember years ago talking to Brandon, I was like, wow, imagine we could sell out Tribute Community Center. Imagine doing 3,000 to 4,000 people in that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he did it. Brandon, if you challenge him, if you give Brandon something, if he ever asks me, he's like, what should we do for the gym? I'll tell him it's done. And
Yeah,
blows my
yeah.
mind every time. As far as I met Brendan, he was a sparring partner, training partner. We helped each other out with some fights, hooked up, started teaching classes at his gym, and just watching everything explode layer by layer, seeing how
Mm-hmm.
he is as a friend, as a training partner, as a teacher, as a businessman, as a promoter. He's world class. He is black belt level all around in everything. I'm so proud of him and Durham Fight Series team and the product that we're bringing to Oshawa. And I'm so excited to be on this. And actually, I was one of the first guys from Oshawa to have an MMA fight about 20 years ago. Before
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even called MMA. My first fight was in BC. It was called NHB. And
Yeah.
I'd fly all the way to, it was called No Holds Barred. So you'd fly down
Yeah.
from BC or fights in Montreal or down in Florida, wherever it was. And we
Mm-hmm.
were always the away team. And all my friends, always fighting in Montreal every couple months, always the blue corner, always fighting
Mm-hmm.
against these guys that the whole arena is booing us and screaming for them. Now
Right.
we're the home team. Everybody gets to scream for our guys. Everybody's going to enjoy themselves. They get to be in their own backyard. They get to do this, showcase their skill set and their discipline of martial arts, and really show what it's all about. And I really want everybody to enjoy themselves. We want to make this a regular thing. And honestly, we want to make this a league that feeds guys directly to UFC, to ONE
Mm-hmm.
FC, to Bellator. We're not just having random shows for guys to do fights. And we want to actually
Right.
build guys and
Mm-hmm.
watch them develop through the levels. And that's why our main event guys, all our main event guys are on the cusp of going to the UFC, and that's why they're there. That's why. So when they're a champion, they are a legit Ontario Fight Series champion, and they've earned their way there from years and years of training, going through all the amateurs, doing all the pro fights they have, and now when they get these belts have meaning and they have weight behind them. They're not just I entered my first tournament and I got a belt. It's no, these guys
Yeah.
built their way there, so they're legit contenders in this area.
Well, thank you, Barry, for all that. Again, for anyone who is looking for something to watch on June 3rd, that's something super exciting, that and you're a huge combat fight fan, you can go to Durham Fight Series Rise of the Phoenix. Like we said, it's going to happen on June 3rd at the Tribute Community Center, so you can go ahead and find tickets there. It's going to be in Oshawa, in the backyard of Durham. So thank you, Barry, for your time today. And then we'll get these promos out and running for Brendan. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys very soon.
Thank you.